is Michelle Joy Phelps, and I'm joined now with the one and only Spencer Fearon. Spence, it's good to see you.
How you doing, sis? You all right?
Yeah, I'm good. How are you?
I'm really good. Even better for speaking to you.
That's always nice to hear. How's your day so far? You good? I know it's quite late over there now.
It's coming up to 9 p.m. and yeah, it's all good. I was just busy speaking to your good friend Kugan Cassius. So yeah. But yeah, apart from that, I'm good.
So what you're saying is you did an interview with him just before me, and the interview's probably going to go out around the same time.
Yeah, but you're not, Kugan Cassius ain't beautiful, so it's all good.
We're going to have to mix it up a little bit then. We're going to have to mix it up. We're going to have to talk about things you probably didn't cover.
It don't make no difference. People are still gonna click because it's me. Good or bad, they're still gonna click.
All right, Spence. Lots to talk about. Obviously, you just did you're the one who broke the story in regards to Mark Breland giving his side of the story. I watched the interview, and at first it seemed like he was like, you know, he didn't really want to say much. He was okay with not saying much. But then as the interview progressed, you could see where although he was trying to keep himself from saying too much, he ended up saying a lot. And that, to some people online, they felt like he probably shouldn't have said anything at all. Although I completely disagree. If that was me, I probably would have said something myself. So tell me a bit about you know, you doing the interview, and what do you make of people sort of saying that it was best that he didn't say anything at all?
No, I can't win because people are saying, oh, well, we should have probed him even more. I want people to realize about 2 hours before we did the interview, I've known Mark for a long time, about 15 years personally. And if you can remember last year, when it went viral, it's like every time this month I always go viral and get quoted by all the newspapers because I was the one that was talking about him not being allowed into Deontay Wilder's change room after the fight, and that he left, and how he's going to be sacked, right? Mm-hmm. To which Deontay Wilder and his stable said, no, we're not going to sack him. But yet, a few months later, a few months back now, he just got fired. But I told you that from last year, February. Right. So I had the inside on the inside from then. I knew what was going on. Right. And yeah, we got the interview. So myself and Tundi and Gary Blake, we set up for the interview, and I get a message from Mark Breland. So I phone him, and then he said, hold up 1 second. And he puts his lawyer on the line. So I'm thinking, right, this is pretty heavy stuff, right? You're getting a lawyer to come on the line now to talk to me. Like, I don't, only time I go to courts is when I'm buying carpet for my mum. That's an English joke, so don't worry about it, right? So, so he was like, yeah, she got on the phone. She was like, you know what, Spence, respect everything you've done. We've seen the video where you was defending Mark last year, and I think that was fabulous and that. But, you know, it's going to be a bit difficult to do the interview. And I said, listen, you don't have to say anything about Deontay Wilder, but we are going to touch on it because it's on live chats as well. So people are going to ask, right?
Yeah.
So the easiest thing for you to say is that you wish Deontay Wilder nothing but the best, and leave it at that. You know what I mean? And when I say wallahi, that means I swear by God. You know what I mean? I swear on my children's lives. I said, right, that's what you should say. Now, if you watch the interview, I sent out a circular. We're in a WhatsApp group, me, Tundi, and Gary. But I didn't want to kill Tundi's energy. So I sent him a message, but he didn't see the message because I sent it in the group. But Tundi didn't see the message because I didn't see the double ticks go up. And I said, good, I'm glad you didn't see it because Tundi was unaware. So, but prior, I said, Tundi, let's just talk about the guy's career and everything that he's did. And you know, I mean, the fact that he was a World Games gold medalist in '82 and a gold medalist in the Olympics in '84. He was like one of the greatest Olympic teams of all time. And let's talk about that. You know, he graced the Ring magazine, front page of the Ring magazine when he was an amateur. That's unheard of. No one. Do you know what I mean? A 5-time Golden Glove champion, surpassing Sugar Ray Robinson. Let's talk about all of that. Which we did, and he was comfortable with it, right? And then Tundi, because Tundi didn't get the memo from me, and that's the truth. We set him up, Tundi didn't get it. So Tundi says, "Lo, you know what I mean? I just want to touch on that a little bit about the Deontay Wilder thing, and because I know how I would be if somebody said that about me." And Mark Breland said what he said.
Yeah.
Right. So Mark Breland turned around and said, "Right, he's done. Deontay's done, and I'm done." And then he stopped and said, "Well, I'm done with him." Regardless, people are going to interpret that, right, you're saying that Deontay Wilder's done. Now, then on top of that, you said, no one ever put no gun to your head, you know, right? You said that if Deontay Wilder was to fight Tyson Fury again, he'd get beat. When Tundi Ajayi, my brother from another mother, asked him, what do you think of this cheating of the glove and all the rest of it? He said Tyson Fury didn't cheat, right? He also said, why is everyone trying to blame me over water and everything else when, you know what I mean, I didn't come to the ring with no water, but he did administer water to Deontay Wilder to drink while the fight was going on, right? But he wasn't the one that inspected the gloves. JD's was the guy that inspected the gloves of Tyson Fury, to which Mark Breland alluded to that if the guy, Tyson Fury, he said, what JD's know about boxing? Tyson Fury could have a cast in his hand, he wouldn't have known. Right? So, and I'm kind of in agreement with him because, and this is no disrespect to JD's, is I'm not impressed with his work that he does as a trainer. And the reason why, because you as a trainer, your testimony as a trainer is what you produce, right? You know, like it says, like, you will know the tree by the fruit that it bears. And as we say that the apple doesn't fall far from the tree. So if your aura is nonsense, your fighter will be nonsense, because rhythmically, Deontay Wilder, who's a very athletic man, right? Seriously, he's very athletic. I've seen him do the twerking business. You know what I mean? What's that all about? You know what I mean? Come on, man. I'm African. We don't do them things. Anyway, right? But I'm saying to you that you are limited ability because you become reliant on just touching a guy on the chin and they go to sleep. His punching power is like he's an evangelical preacher. It's ridiculous, his punching power. But you become reliant on that so much that everything else, you got to look at. If you used to go look at, all right, then, agility in the ring, what would you give Deontay Wilder? You're going at Mark's a 10, right? Then you go, Mark's at a 10 punching power, you give him a 15. But every other facet of your game is suffering or has suffered because you have become this diva. And this is not my words. Mark Breland was saying it's like certain times in his statement, Deontay Wilder's better come to the gym, or we're waiting all 2-3 hours for him to come to the gym. Deontay Wilder, by his own admission, said he don't really like the training. He don't like it. Mark Breland was the one that said that you don't skip rope. We never asked you, does he skip rope? What does he do? Mark Breland was saying that he doesn't do things and I'm paraphrasing, to the authenticity of where he grew up, of how the game was. Because when Mark Breland grew up, he grew around guys who could fight. He was in the Kronk gym with Tommy Hearns, with Mike McCullum. These are legends of the game. So,
Spence,
no.
Do you feel, because I know at one point, I don't know how serious this was, but I know at one point that Floyd Mayweather had said if I trained Deontay Wilder, he could beat Tyson Fury. What do you make of that? Do you think that if he did change trainers, or add, maybe not change trainers, but add someone to his corner that, you know?
Yeah, you know what? If you look at history, and I'm a great, I use history as a great measuring stick. It takes about 5 fights for you to get used to your trainer. Takes about 5 fights. And has Deontay Wilder got 5 fights to learn from Floyd Mayweather? And when Floyd's saying that, I get where Floyd's coming from, but sometimes master fighters don't become master trainers. It's very rare in essence that you see a great fighter become a great trainer. You know why? Because you've been to the mountaintop. And the mountaintop that Floyd Mayweather is on as a retired fighter is head and shoulders above any fighter in history, especially the amount of money that he's made. So would Floyd Mayweather desire be in it for Deontay Wilder? No, I think Floyd Mayweather was very, very clever at saying the right things to get public attention. That's what I believe. He's very, very clever at that. He's a master of that. He's a master manipulator of things like that. And that's why Floyd Mayweather is spoken about as one of the greatest to ever do it. Not only, and I would say that when it comes to greatness, I've got to say that Floyd Mayweather was most probably in sports, one of the greatest business people ever, because he trades on people disliking him, because he knows they're going to come and pay to come and see me. It's different now. If you're retired, people ain't going to pay to come and see you because you're retired. And maybe now we're going to see more of the philanthropic Floyd Mayweather or the nice Floyd Mayweather now. But I don't think Floyd Mayweather could change anything in Deontay Wilder but Deontay Wilder rubbish those claims anyway, because I think that Deontay Wilder is surrounded, and I'm saying it again, by yes men. That's right. I've said it. And all of the guys around him, I'm talking to you. Yes, you. Who are around Deontay Wilder? You're yes men. Because real guys pull you guys to one side and have serious words with them. Real guys, you know what I mean? When you got a friend, that's your friend. That means like you don't have to draw them down publicly, but you pull them to one side and say, Bridget, you shouldn't have done that. You know, you should behave a certain way. And you ain't got none of those kind of people. Reason why? Because I may be wrong, but I don't think Alabama is a very wealthy state, is it?
I've never been, so I can't.
But is it wealthy? No. Is it wealthy? Is it, we turn around and say like, it's a very affluent state?
I would really be speaking out of line if I said yes or no, because I honestly don't know the answer to that.
But what I am saying is, we know of the things of Alabama. We know of, if your history will tell you that the Confederacy was very strong in Alabama, right? So I could only imagine the racial abuse that Deontay Wilder has gone through in his life. Right? I'm just keeping it 100, right?
He's spoken openly about those things.
Yeah. So therefore, what I'm saying is, but you're the one that's got the bus. You're the one that's blown. You're a multi-millionaire. And when you're a multi-millionaire, if you're not hanging out with other guys who are multi-millionaires, everybody around you is going to be kissing your ass. I guarantee you. Right? Because you're in a millionaires club, everyone else is associated to the millionaires club because of you. So sometimes you got to evaluate your circle, right? And yeah, of course. But I'm saying more so to Deontay Wilder, because the ludicrous claims, which I believe are ludicrous, because if they're not ludicrous, come with your evidence. And if they are true to the evidence that you come out with, I'm going to be I'll be outside walking down 10 Downing Street with picket signs saying, get Deontay Wilder a rematch and sack Mark Breland. I'll have picket signs, I'll be walking around here. If you don't come with no evidence, then shut up, man. They're just silly accusations.
So Deontay Wilder recently spoke with 7/8 Sports TV. He said about the Mark Breland interview with you. He says, it's like, where is it all coming from? Is it because of where I am in life and your career was short? It's all making sense now. He's been envying me. He's been jealous. Now all this shit is truly coming out. What do you make of him saying that in regards to your interview?
If Deontay Wilder didn't sack him, and then not just say, all right, then we can't work together, cool. I get that one. But then say, no, but you poison my water, right? Now, this sounds very similar. You know, I love history. You know, I love history. George Foreman in 1974, when he got beat by Ali, George Foreman was trained by a man called Dick Sadler. Dick Sadler was the brother of Sandy Sadler, who's one of the greatest featherweights of all time. He fought Willie Pep, who to me is my hero. Willie Pep, young kids out there, go watch Willie Pep. Fantastic fighter, right? In the 40s and 50s. And Sandy Sadler's brother, Dick Sadler, who was training George Foreman. And George Foreman technically wasn't very good. Even though he won an Olympic gold medal in 1968 in Mexico, but technically he wasn't very good, right? And Ali beats him. Ali was never meant to beat him in the Rumble in the Jungle in October of 1974, and Ali did beat him. Mm-hmm. Ali, not only did Ali beat him, but it was historic in the manner of which it was the first World Heavyweight Championship in Africa, promoted by a black man, having two black champions coming out there, Ali being the people's champion and George Foreman being the undisputed champion. George Foreman, after the fight, blamed Dick Sadler for poisoning his water. So this is what I've noticed with guys who have this air of invincibility. Once it is broken, they can't accept what has happened in their reality because it goes against their thinking of their paradigm. Mm-hmm. And whatever you think about, you bring about. So therefore, as far as he's concerned, his water was poison. But I'm sure that you get drug tested after you fight. And I'm sure if it was, and everyone's got it in for Deontay Wilder, they'll bring that one up and say that you were on drugs as well, or you were drugged, or there was something in you, right? Make up your mind. First, it was the suit was too heavy, mm-hmm. right? Then it was the fact that your legs were shot. Then it was the fact that now your water's being drugged. So what is it? So, no, I'm sorry, man. And this has got me having nothing against Deontay Wilder. Because as you know, Michelle, I know a lot about boxing. Without me boasting, I know a lot about boxing.
No, you don't.
Someone's got to wake up very early in the morning to surpass what I know. Mm-hmm. And that's not me being cocky. I'm talking about that, especially on the histrionics. I love this sport. Sometimes you've got to take responsibility. And when you take responsibility, then you can brush yourself off and you can come again. And unfortunately, Deontay Wilder hasn't taken responsibility. Take responsibility, brother. Because I think, you know what? Talent-wise, he's very, very athletic. And if he got taught certain fundamentals, then he could still be a force to be reckoned with. If you got that punching power and Deontay Wilder knew how to pop a jab like Tommy Hearns, trouble. It'd be trouble. Mm-hmm. But unfortunately, he doesn't know that. And that's it.
You know, it's interesting because Deontay Wilder was one of the first people I've ever met in boxing. I've known him forever. I think he's a great guy. I think it's unfortunate seeing how everything's sort of unfolding. I always say, and this is in response to people online who were saying Mark Breland shouldn't have said anything. He should have just left it alone. He should have stayed quiet. I actually believe that if Deontay could speak his truth, and I say his truth because he truly believes in what he's saying.
He has spoken his truth, Michelle.
Yeah, I believe that anyone else who has been sort of singled out with accusations has every right to speak their truth as well, whether or not we agree with it. It doesn't matter. I just think that it's unfortunate to see it sort of all unfolding in front of everyone because this is a long relationship that they've had. I mean, Deontay Wilder has started his career alongside Mark Breland. So I'm actually quite sad to see how it's sort of unfolding at this point. I think it's really unfortunate. And I don't really know what's going on. I mean, the accusations are all over the place and I'm a factual arguer. So like you were saying, if there's evidence, I would like to see the evidence such as like the drug tests or anything else for that matter. Otherwise, I think it is it's very dangerous to say something and not back it up with full-on facts because it's defamation. It is at the end of the day if there are no facts to back it up. And I'm not saying he says he does have it. If he has it, like you said, then let's see it.
Michelle, this is what I'm saying. If he's got it, Come out and show it. And I told you I'll be the biggest guy championing.
Me too. I think everyone would.
Wilder,
I think everyone would.
But you haven't. So therefore, is it something that you've conjured up in your mind and you just believe it anyway? That cause I didn't feel right. He must have drugged me. I was drugged. Right? I told you, I've just alluded to history. George Foreman said the same thing. Right? And George Foreman was a far more better accomplished amateur and has gone down in the annals of history as one of the greatest heavyweights of all time. So therefore, what I'm saying is this: maybe you need to listen to these guys. And I'm going to tell you the next thing. I saw an interview a little while ago with, I think it was after the Dominic Brazil knockout, which was a hellacious knockout, right? And I think Evander Holyfield went to speak to him, and it was seemingly like Deontay Wilder was being dismissive of Evander Holyfield. Evander Holyfield is one of the greats to ever do it, right? So I'm saying maybe you're just believing the hype. And I'm saying this, I don't business what you say about me, because I remember when you interviewed him, Michelle, and he said, "Oh man, who's that guy? Spencer Fearon, you don't know about boxing." Hold up a second. You could say anything you want to say about me, right? You could say anything. That one thing you can't say. You can't say I'm ugly because I'm a handsome guy, and I'm 47 as well, right? That's number one. And you can't say that I don't know boxing, right? And that's that. That is sacrilege. You go call that. I am not a person who just woke up one day and said, "Oh, this boxing thing, and let me carry a camera around and get interviews." No, sir. I've done it in reverse. I've done what I've done in the game, and I have a ridiculous black book where I know everybody. And the best thing is this: when I talk to people, I know you as a fighter. If I'm talking to other fighters, I know everything on you. That's my strength. And not only that, but I want everybody to win. And I'll go and I'll help anybody. Not because it makes me feel good inside, because it does make me feel good inside. But I just love to help other people. I would love to have a conversation with Deontay Wilder and break down history of boxing with him. Just the history of boxing, right? Because Deontay Wilder got in his head that I'm a kind of hater on him. I'm not hating on you, because you got nothing for me to hate on. Nothing for me to hate on you. I want the best for Deontay Wilder. But unfortunately, he don't want the best for himself, because if he did want the best for himself, he wouldn't have idiots around him whispering in his ear, talking nonsense. And I've said it.
Well, we know that Deontay Wilder is more than likely to make his return against, we're hearing, Charles Martin, former IBF heavyweight champion, best known for fighting Anthony Joshua, as you know, and that's how Anthony Joshua got the title, the IBF title, his first title. What do you make of that?
I remember the night me and you were there in Anthony's change room. I remember that night. That was a glorious night, man.
Do you remember that's when AJ did a rap?
Yes.
He did the rap. Yeah.
Yes, he did. A freestyle. He would have already done a freestyle. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it was like, yeah, you know what? I'm going to lie. You're a heavyweight champion of the world. You knock my lights out. But you know what I mean?
Yeah, I remember he said, I was like, "Can you do a rap for us?" He's like, "Nah, but if I win, I'll do it." That's why I held him to it. I'm like, "All right, you won. Let's do this." So that was one of the highlights.
It was me, you, and Radio Raheem in the changing room with him.
Yeah.
I remember that. Yeah. You know what I mean? Radio Raheem should have done the beatbox. Anyway, but that's another story.
What do you make of that fight, though?
You know what? Here was a man, Charles Martin, who's only lost one fight to Anthony Joshua, and he looked impressive in his last fight out. So, you know what? I'll tell you why it'd be good, because Deontay Wilder has shown that he can actually handle southpaws, but it's not like he handles them technically. It's just that I'm just waiting to knock you out, like he did against Luis Ortiz. So it'd be interesting, because if Charles Martin gets into a rhythm, it could be trouble for anyone. But I don't think Charles Martin has enough quick twitch fiber in him to deal with the onslaught that Deontay Wilder could unleash. But I'm saying this: once your bubbles burst, it's difficult to regroup, especially when it seems to me that you're doing more talking and more accusing than training. And that's what I'm saying. You know what I mean? I rate anyone who's come from where he's come from to amass what he's amassed and to become a WBC heavyweight champion of the world. regardless of this, how you got the title, I don't give a damn. It's amazing because you had multiple world title defenses as well. But every time in those defenses, there are certain times where you were getting outboxed before you landed that killer blow. Mm-hmm. And you were getting outboxed by people that we don't even know anymore. We don't know the guys, right? Mm-hmm. So that proves that there's a chink in your armor. And the chink in your armor was ruthlessly exposed by Tyson Fury, not in the second fight. In the first fight, is ruthlessly exposed because Tyson Fury fought two men that you wouldn't hire for sparring. Mm-hmm. I swear to God, you wouldn't hire them guys for sparring. And then went in there and fought Deontay Wilder. So, no, Deontay Wilder.
Spence, if you were Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder had made the accusations that you had made, that he made to you, would you fight him a third time? Would you do it?
No, I'm gonna be real. No, I wouldn't. I'll tell you why I wouldn't fight him the third time. I wouldn't fight the third time for the simple reason is that, as far as I'm concerned, we fought twice. I beat you twice. That's number one. So what am I fighting you again for? There's no need to fight him again.
Well, to play devil's advocate here, I mean, Deontay's team is basically saying,
no, it's God's advocate. We don't do no devil things right now.
All right. But Deontay Wilder's team is basically saying, well, look, we gave you a shot. We gave you a title shot when no one wanted to fight you. Obviously Tyson was just coming. I mean, at that point, I think the last person he had fought was, who was it? It wasn't Wallen. It was Schwartz. Yeah. Yep. So they're basically saying, well, look, we gave you an opportunity. Now we deserve ours.
Before we go on further, didn't Deontay Wilder say you could have fought AJ for more money but opted to fight Tyson Fury because he wanted to give him a chance? He recently said that, right?
Yeah, he did.
Okay, then. So how was Anthony Joshua ducking you? All right, we can continue now. I could just murder these guys, but go on, continue. No, regardless of the opportunities, I'm trying to say to you, nobody is interested in that fight. Mm-hmm. I'm telling you this now. The interest is AJ versus Tyson Fury. That is the fight that people want to see. That's the fight that has been negotiated, and in principle, the deal has been struck for a 2-fight deal. Let that fight happen.
Well, no.
I'll tell you who
100%.
Right, I'll tell you who Deontay Wilder should fight. He should fight Dillian Whyte. Let Dillian Whyte get through victorious against Povetkin and go fight Dillian Whyte. That's who you should fight. Mm-hmm. All right? Because you're not bringing nothing to the table anymore. No honor rules, right? But the fact you've been a former heavyweight champion of the world, fight Dillian Whyte.
Mm-hmm. Now, that's a fight I would love to see. And you know what? Let me just say this. Dillian has had to fight so many tough opponents and still no world title. Still no world title. I mean, even if he went and fought Deontay Wilder next, it's still like that is a tough fight, and then still no world title. I mean, that guy, he deserves a break.
Right, Dylan, he will get it. He's just got to keep on being consistent, and this is how this thing goes. First, it's the study, then it's the practice, and then comes the experience. Mm-hmm. He's done that. So right now, Dillian Whyte is one of the most knowledgeable heavyweights out there in the world. Mm-hmm. And now that he's working with Xavier Miller, and he's also brought in Harold the Shadow Knight, the former USBA super featherweight champion. Now he's brought Harold the Shadow Knight in as well, who worked with Lennox Lewis in Lennox's glory days. Mm-hmm. We're going to see a different Dillian Whyte. Mm-hmm. So maybe Deontay Wilder should follow suit to something like what Dylan's done. He's still got his trainer, who's a good trainer, but he's a young trainer. Even though he's not young in age, he looks young, but he's not young in age. Mm-hmm. Right? He's a good trainer, but sometimes you just need those guys with that touches of experience. And that's what Dillian Whyte's done, because Dillian Whyte studies the game, and not only that, but he's got someone like me to pester him regularly down the phone. Right? Deontay Wilder, go get people who know boxing, man, to pester you. No one's not interested in watching Deontay Wilder, Tyson Fury right now, apart from the guys on the Lions Den boxing community. Apart from that, nobody is not interested in it. No one at all. I'm telling you this now, and I'm gonna get all death threats and messages into my Instagram right now, but I don't care. You know what? True boxing be sending me, Black Fight Fan be sending me threats right now, but it's all good. And on the reels, let me say happy birthday to Black Fight Fan's mother. Is her birthday today, so big up yourself, Mama True Boxing. Happy birthday, gone.
Happy birthday. I might be the minority here, but I still wouldn't mind seeing Deontay Wilder against an Anthony Joshua, or
100%,
or even a third fight with Tyson.
No, I'm being real, right? I'm more interested in Anthony Joshua versus Deontay Wilder.
Oh, of course.
Than to see Tyson Fury, and I'm saying that fight should happen. And if that fight does happen, it should happen in Nigeria. That's where the fight should happen. Nigeria's got more money than WoW, right? Mm-hmm. They've got it. That fight.
Wait, for which fight? Are you talking about Fury Joshua?
No. I'm saying I would like to see Deontay Wilder versus AJ. That would be a big fight. Yeah, that fight. I'm not too interested. I'm just being real. Unless Deontay Wilder was to come back and be his destructive terrorist self, I ain't that interested in watching Deontay Wilder versus Tyson Fury. I'm just being real, right? Because you got beat badly, right? You got beat badly. And so I'm not that interested. Mm-hmm. I'm interested. Deontay Wilder came back on a vicious KO spree and all the rest of it. And Anthony Joshua was to be victorious against Tyson Fury, which is a massive ask, but I could see it happening. And I'd like to see that fight between AJ and Bomb Squad in Nigeria.
I think what's fantastic is that we're seeing, no matter what way we turn, there are some really good matchups to be made with the Undisputed, because we do have, as we know, that the WBO is going to now have Alexander Usyk and Joe Joyce fight for the interim title. We know that
Joe Joyce is going to beat Alexander Usyk. Remember, I'm telling you. All right, you, Joe Joyce is going to beat him. All right, continue.
Great fight. Great fight between the two. We know that they once fought in the World Series of Boxing. Joe lost to Usyk.
It's over 5 rounds.
But we saw, and obviously, I mean, come on, let's be honest. As the years progress, you're supposed to get better. And each of them have gotten better. I think the argument now is Alexander Usyk's size. We saw that he was unable to really do any damage to Derek Chisora. Do you feel like that's going to be where he's limited in the heavyweight scene? Because a lot of people, I mean, look, sometimes size.
Absolutely. And simple thing is this: the former undisputed world welterweight champion Lloyd Hunnigan, who was one of my heroes growing up as a kid, Lloyd Hunnigan always said to me, Spencer, it's not whether you're big enough, but whether you're good enough. Mm. And Usyk is good enough.
Yes.
And that applies, and that analogy applies to any single weight except for the heavyweight division. Mm-hmm. Right? We see some great guys. Bob Foster, one of the greatest light heavyweights of all time, a destructive puncher with both hands. He can knock you out with his right hand or a left hook. And when he went up against Muhammad Ali, he got played with. When he went up against Joe Frazier, and the gap wasn't even that big, Joe Frazier annihilated him with his left hook. So I'm saying, no, sir. When you're up against these guys here, I used to think Usyk was going to be too much for a lot of these guys, because technically there's only one guy that I know in the heavyweight division could deal with his IQ. He's got an amazing IQ, and that's Tyson Fury. Because Tyson Fury has been born as a fighting man, right? We're born bred. This is what he's meant to do. All the rest of the guys have learned along the way. So I don't think their IQ could match Usyk's. But I think the rough and tumble definitely matched Usyk. Usyk never impressed me against Chaz Witherspoon. Usyk definitely did not impress me against Derek Chisora. For me to look on that man and think, boy, AJ, I'll be scared. Tyson Fury, I'll be bricking it. No, sir. Usyk was a fantastic cruiserweight. We have evolved as human beings. Heavyweights are bigger now. They train more ferocious, and I think that those guys will be too big, and there's nothing that he's going to do that's going to surprise them, because they won't respect him, because I don't think he hits hard enough at heavyweight. Right? Derek Chisora gave you a run, and I'm being honest. Derek Chisora is at the tail end of his career, right? So you make you think, if it was a Derek Chisora that fought Vitaly Klitschko, what would have happened? Maybe Derek would have been victorious. Mm-hmm. The Derek Chisora that fought Helenius, what would have happened? Derek Chisora would have been victorious. I'm telling you, because he gave him a run as an old man. Mm-hmm. So I'm sorry, Alexander Usyk is not going to beat Joe Joyce. I'm telling you, Joe Joyce is very, very deceiving for somebody the size that he is, and he doesn't fight within his physical ability. So he's got a lot reserved. Mm-hmm. And he's a very, very good listener and a very good thinker. And I think he would wear down Usyk. I don't think Usyk would have enough power to stop him in his tracks. And I think that he would stop Usyk in around 10 or 11 rounds.
All right, well, Derek Chisora versus Joseph Parker. We know Joseph Parker has a fight in just 2 weeks against Junior Fa in New Zealand. Should he be successful, we'll finally actually get to see the fight that should have happened a while back. I mean, I don't know specifically how long ago that was, but it was a fight that was supposed to happen that didn't end up happening. Derek Chisora versus Joseph Parker, who wins?
I love Derek, so I don't want to speak nothing ill of him, but I'm pretty close to Joseph Parker as well. But I see that fight difficult for Derek to win. I do. I see it. I do. I see it difficult for Derek to win. But whereas Joseph Parker is not a concussive puncher, mm-hmm. but he's a hurtful puncher, and he had Dylan White over in the last round, so it makes you know that this guy he can dig. And I think it's about who's got more in the tank. And at this time of their respective careers, Derek Chisora has less in the tank than what Joseph Parker has in the tank. Mm-hmm. I like both guys, and I want Derek to win, but I'm going to be 100. To me, it's like David Hayes just wheeling out Derek Chisora for these big paydays, right? Because he's looking at it like, look, you've learned enough. You've had a very, very long career. Mm. So now you just got to go out there and we're going to get you the biggest fights to earn you the most money. And as long as Derek keeps on putting on strong performances, because potentially Derek could actually win this fight. But I just can't see it. I just think like Parker's got a little bit more in the tank, but you can never write off Derek Chisora, because if Derek Chisora claps you with that left hook, you know what I mean, and that overhand right, you don't believe me? Just ask Carlos Takam. You know what I mean? Just ask Spitka. Ask those guys. You'll find out what's going on. Then you never know. But I'd have to favor, begrudgingly, I'd have to favor Joseph Parker to win.
Let's talk about the undisputed fight. All I'm going to say, Spence, is that is literally the highlight for me. When I think of 2021, I'm thinking, holy shit, I can't believe we're actually going to get the undisputed fight. There was, for a moment that we weren't quite sure what direction the WBO was going to take. I'm grateful that they were able to figure it out so that all the belts were on the line for this fight. We don't know exactly where it's going to take place. We're hearing possibly in the Middle East, maybe Saudi, Abu Dhabi, Dubai, I'm not quite sure. Credit to both sides of both teams and different promoters, different networks for willing to come together to make this fight happen. Let's talk a bit about the mega fight. A lot of people are sitting on the fence. You know me, Spence, I always sit on the fence. So you're never going to get me to say who I think or what. All I know is that I'm excited for it. I see it as a 50-50 fight. What do you think is going to happen?
I know he's going to win that fight. Period. I know he's going to win that fight. And it's going to be an upset. Mm. And that's all I'm saying on it for right now. The fight's going to be an upset. And it's the man truer. It's the man that is truer to the authenticity of the sport that is going to come out victorious in that fight. And it's the man that hasn't cheated himself that's going to be victorious in that fight. I'm telling you this now. I've played this fight over time in my head. And I know exactly what Tyson Fury would have to do to win that fight. And I definitely know exactly what Anthony Joshua would have to do to win that fight. Tyson Fury could potentially stop Anthony Joshua in about 8 rounds in that fight, right? But I'm telling you this now, Anthony Joshua could knock Tyson Fury out in 6 rounds because one's got an incredible outside game and can box circles around you, and one's got a really good inside game in Anthony Joshua with a horrible uppercut. But you'd favor Tyson Fury to win, and I'm saying I've begged in the past for for Anthony Joshua to have boxing people around him. I believe that he has boxing people now around him. I think that's going to help him. But if we're dealing with boxing IQ, then Tyson Fury's head and shoulders above him. I'm just being real. But if we're talking about that grit that Anthony Joshua has, especially after losing to Ruiz and coming back and winning, that could be the telling factor in the fight. It's going to be an excellent fight. Like I said, you would tip Tyson Fury to win that fight, but do not be surprised if Anthony Joshua doesn't knock him out in 6 rounds.
Well, all I know is based on the performance that Anthony Joshua had against Pulev, I was very impressed. I feel like in the last 2 fights, he's really kind of come far. You could see, not saying that he never, I don't even want to say this incorrectly because I feel like it's going to come out incorrectly. It's not saying that he wasn't learning along the way. It just seems like there had been a significant change somewhere along the way because he had better head movement, better footwork in the fight against Pulev. There were moments where it seems like he was cautious with getting clipped. And so when a fighter loses, they often have that caution in them now. They think they don't want to relive what could happen to them. But both Tyson and Anthony have been knocked down before, although Tyson hasn't been knocked out before. Do you feel that that's going to play a factor as well, given that one has lost and then the other hasn't?
No, because it's about desire.
Okay.
And I think Anthony Joshua knows the seriousness of this fight. And
but does Tyson fight Anthony Joshua the way he did against Wilder in the first fight or Wilder in the second fight?
I think that he'd box Anthony Joshua like how he fought Wilder in the second fight. But the thing with Tyson Fury, he's multifaceted, right? And he's got more strings to his bow than what Anthony Joshua has. But what Anthony Joshua has, he's got that bite down on the gum shield, Wakanda forever. He's got that, and I'm telling you, he's got that. You know what I mean? And if Anthony Joshua goes into that fight and he's drunk that purple herb, woo, it's gonna be a good fight. I'm telling you. And I think that's what Anthony Joshua's gonna bring to the table. It's like the more I talk about this fight, seriously, I watched Tyson Fury and I know and I see flaws in Tyson Fury. But it takes a very good man to expose those flaws. And I know the flaws, but like I watch Anthony Joshua and I see the flaws as well inside of him. So it's like both guys have flaws, but I'm saying like both guys do things excellently as well. And that's what makes this fight so intriguing. Right. And that's why the fight's going to happen, and it's going to make a lot of money for both guys, and boxing's going to win.
Anyways, what I wanted to talk to you about is congratulations on your gig with MTK as Fight Night Analysis. Or Analyst.
Oh, for ESPN Plus. Thank you very much.
Yes, congratulations. There's been a lot of press swirling around MTK and everything going on. I just wanted to know if you wanted to touch on that a bit.
Of course. What do you want to know?
Well, just most importantly, like what your thoughts were on the overall documentary that was done. What was it? About a week ago, aired about a week ago.
Did you see the documentary?
I had not seen the documentary.
Okay, well,
I've heard about it, but I've not seen it because I'm here in America.
Okay, I'll send it to you.
Yeah. Okay.
It was featured about Daniel Kinahan.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm here to say, this is Spencer Fearon speaking, the person who is genuine,
Mm-hmm.
a person who is loving and thoughtful, and for a brain and an eye for business. And I've got a ridiculous black book, right? Everyone knows this. I've got a ridiculous black book. You're gonna have to wake up very early in the morning to show me someone smarter than, more loving than, more caring, and for fighters. I've been in boxing for a long time, right? I've been in boxing for over 40 years. I know I don't look it, but the grades are coming through, right? Mm-hmm. And I've seen all types of characters. But the thing with Daniel Kinahan, this man exposes people who are disingenuine, but they want to be around him to show themselves that they are genuine. I've seen him look after fighters that should not have even fought or been in certain positions where it's been terrible. I don't want to sing the praise of the charitable work that the guy's done around the world, in Africa, in the Middle East, in his home country of Ireland, in the UK. This is what I bear witness to, right? So I don't want to hear anything of propaganda. He's a beautiful human being. It's propaganda. If this man had a criminal record and everything else, then I could sit down and say, ooh, his family know my family, right? Mm-hmm. He knows my children. I know his. Mm-hmm. Is he a good man? Incredibly good man. Period. Right? And not only that, what do you think of him?
You know what? I have only ever heard great things about him. This is my mentality. You're innocent until proven guilty. For someone who has no criminal record, I keep hearing it's a witch hunt. I haven't seen much from the documentaries or whatever. I don't know what was said specifically. I just hear clips. It was
badly made.
That's what I was hearing.
It was badly made. And everybody, but the thing about it is this, like, we're as human beings, and because of the lockdown as well, people like sensationalism. Mm-hmm. Like, yeah, oh, he's the boss. Yeah, he is the boss. Mm-hmm. And the real cartel's boxing. And that guy, as what Sandra Vaughan said, if you're making any major deals within boxing and you're not speaking to Daniel Kinahan, you're lying. And I 1,000,000% agree with it. A good man for boxing, period. This wish hunt that is going on for this guy is because they can't believe that someone coming from the society of where he has come from and the things that he is most probably seen growing up on the tough streets of Ireland, to, in 15 years, rocking and shocking the whole world in making Frank Warren and Eddie Hearn sit down and smoke the peace pipe with Bob Arum to make the biggest fight in British boxing history. Mm-hmm. That's what this man has done, mm-hmm. right? So I don't want to hear no hearsay about this, that, and all the rest of it. Because historically speaking, if we look at the court that are looking at this man, he made a statement the other day on TalkSport, which, if it was American, it'd be unconstitutional. Because the special crime court of Ireland, it's ridiculous what they're trying to do. You have a court system where you have only the judge and witnesses against you. No jury. That's ridiculous. Could you imagine? Could you imagine that happening in America?
Yeah. Now I get what you're saying.
Right. So I'm saying again, spare me. You know what I mean?
This is all I'm going to say about this. I'm going to say this. When there was an accusation made where they said he was threatening media or threatening press,
you know that's bollocks.
Never. I mean, and you know, I'm well in this industry. Okay.
Come on.
Anything that goes on, whether or not I confirm it or whatever, I know what's happening in boxing. I have never heard such an absurd claim in my life. I was like, wait, what? Like, are you kidding me? I've only ever heard good things about the man. That's it. That's all I've ever heard. And I'm like, I don't understand what's happening. And again, call me naive. I live in England part-time, but I wasn't really up to par with what was going on and the witch hunt, as they were saying. But I'm super confused because in my mentality is this: you're innocent until proven guilty. If there was evidence or if there's this or that, wouldn't he have some sort of criminal record? I'm confused by it.
Sis, you've hit the nail on the head. Spare me. I mean, just spare me.
But the fact that a claim was made that he's threatening media or intimidating anyone in the industry, I was like, that I will say is absolutely absurd. And I don't know who said that, who claimed that, but that is absolutely a lie.
Right. I speak quite regularly. I'm gonna be real. I have been threatened by Daniel Kinahan. Right? I'm gonna be real. I'll be real. I've been threatened by Daniel Kinahan because he was saying that I wasn't producing the best me. I want you to produce the best you, Spence.
Yeah.
Right? That was a threat. So, and it was a wake-up call for me to dig a little deeper. And when I mean, like, that guy is a good man. There's loads of people in boxing who he's close with who are frightened to speak about their relationship with him. Right? So I props more than anyone Frank Warren. More than anyone, I props Frank Warren. Right? Bob Aaron's always been Bob Aaron. Bob Aaron, big him up. Eddie Hearn, big him up. Frank Smith, big him up. All these guys, yeah. You know why? Because if this man was so bad, I know for a fact, not for a pound note, because a lot of these guys will put morals over money. They wouldn't have nothing to do with him. And you cannot be around that guy. He has an insatiable likability. I'm just being real. And I've been in the newspapers and the press before when I've spoken about this man as far as I am concerned, right? He's a good man. He's good people. And let the man get on and continue doing what he's doing because he's inspiring people, right? So I don't business about what they're trying to blame a man about and all the rest of it. I'm telling everybody, the man that points his finger has 3 fingers pointed back at him. And be careful, as scripture says, to take the mud out of my eyes when you're not removing the beam that's in your own.
And here's another misconception is people often say, oh, well, you're just saying that because, you know, you're in business or you're doing this, you're doing that. I'm going to speak from an outsider and say that that's not true because, you know, look at me for an example. I have nothing to gain monetary wise for even giving my side in terms of being press and never ever having heard a negative thing or a threat being made or anything like that. I mean, ever. So we can't say that that's what that is because you often hear, oh, well, he's defending him because, you know, they're sponsored. You know what I mean? I can say like, well, I'm not, and I've never heard, I'm baffled by half of the stuff that's said. But again,
go talk to the boxers. Listen to what I'm saying to you. Go talk to the boxers. Go and talk to the boxers, right? Go talk to Pete McDonough, right? Go and talk to Tommy Gunn. I'm not talking about big celebrity guys. I'm talking about the lowest down the line Go talk to those guys, right? Go talk to O'Hara Davis. Go and talk to, I could go for a whole list of guys who ain't superstars, right? But have been in the company of this man, and this man has advised him, and the advice that he's given to you, he gives to himself, right? As we're taught in scripture to love for your brother what you love for yourself, I 100% put my hand on my heart and say that man actually loves for others what he'd love for himself. And if he's got a plate of food, he'll cut that plate of food in half and make sure that you get extra rice grain. I have seen this, what he's done for fighters. So I'm going to tell people, spare me. And also on this MTK Global link, where people are talking about, the man advises people inside MTK Global, like he advises people at Matchroom, like he advises people at Queensbury, right? He don't run MTK Global. So I'm telling to everyone to spare with the lies and the propaganda, and there's certain people out in America, right? I'm going to touch on soon, who should behave themselves, because it's like, it's crazy. Like people say, oh man, Spencer's in the mob. He's in the mob. Yeah. It's like, spare me, man.
You're almost like, stop. That's what I'm saying. Like, half the stuff you read on Instagram or Twitter and you hear about, you're just like, what? Where did that even come from? Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
So.
Exactly. I'm, like I said, live and let live. And I'm said it, and I'm saying again, Daniel Kinahan's good people. I stand by Daniel Kinahan because he's good people. He's a good man, good family man, good spiritual man, and he literally wants people to do well. And apart from that, when it comes to business, the guy is a genius. I'm telling you this now. He's a genius. And you have to be a genius if you can make Bob Arum, Frank Warren, and Eddie Hearn all sit down and chop up a deal, then you must be a genius, okay? And if anyone who loves boxing, I'm telling you this now, you should have a picture of Daniel Kinahan in your house. And that's that. Because right, I'm telling you right now, I'm going to be real right now, Daniel Kinahan could be the messiah of boxing. I've said it. That's your soundbite. All right?
All right, Spence. Well, thank you so much for sitting down with me and talking with me.
You're blessed. Cougar didn't get this from me, so don't worry.
Okay. I'm about to say, I'm like, oh man, do I have to race to get this up? No, I'm gonna put this up tomorrow. It's late there right now. You put it up.
You put it up when you do, and I want everybody to realize this, especially as we're living in this pandemic right now. Waking up is such an underrated blessing.
Yeah.
So if you have woken up in the morning and you've got a roof over your head, food in the fridge, and you know where your next meal's coming from, and you're healthy, you have won. Don't just count your blessings, but live them. And on that note, bye, fight fans.
Hey Fight fans, it's Michelle Joy Phelps. If you haven't already subscribed to our YouTube channel, make sure you do so by clicking this icon right here, or else